Hi friends, welcome back to day 6 of October Eve, and I know not everyone is as gung-ho for Halloween as I am, so I wanted to make sure that I was sprinkling in some really warm and cozy fall cards into this series as well. So today is going to be dedicated to Pawsome stamps. I'm going to be using this chunky sweater stencil as well as those stamp sets to make a really warm and friendly thank you card that's also a slimline, just to change it up a little bit. And then we're going to be adding in some ink blending and of course sparkle, because Pawsome Stamps has some of my absolute favorite sequin mixes out of any that I've tried. So just to be super transparent with you, I am a member of the Pawsome Stamps design team. I do make videos for their YouTube channel. So some of these products I was given to use, some I did pay for with my own money, but all of them are things that I specifically love, and I'm definitely not obligated to share them with you. I'm just doing it because I literally love them and I use them whenever I can. So I'm going in with Mahogany, aged Mahogany Distress ink and ground Espresso ink, and I am just stenciling in the first half of my Slimline card. I use some washi tape on the back of my panel, and I'm just going to line that up on the one side, and then it's so easy to just shift your stencil over and continue the pattern all the way across your card. I find that chunkier stencils like this, or where the pattern is super repetitive and kind of streamlined, it's so easy. So you can take something that's a 6x6 and use it for like a slimline or a mini slimline without any concerns. So once I had that so that the edges were a little bit darker than the center, I set it aside to dry because we are going to be doing some heat embossing on it, which is why I wanted to get it done first. And then I'm going to be stamping in all of my images. So today I'm using Copic Express It paper with my Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink, my always go-to for my Copic colored images. And I'm combining images today from the Coffee Besties and Oopsy Daisy stamp sets. So I decided to grab these side view daisies because once we color them up, they're actually going to look more like mums, which nothing says fall to me like mums on the front porch. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the same way across the country, but definitely here on the East Coast and in the Northeast, mums are a fall staple, and especially to me, those like red or purple mums just scream fall. So I'm going to be coloring up some of my flowers with this really beautiful red combo, and some of them are going to be with a really warm kind of golden yellow combo. I'm going to be using the same combination for all of them. All of the reds will be the same and all of the yellows will be the same. So some of these I am going to show in detail, and some of them I'm going to fast forward or skip over because it did get pretty repetitive. I wanted to make sure that I had enough flowers to kind of span across my slimline card. And then I have 2 of the coffee cups and 2 of the espresso bean stacks from the Coffee Besties stamp set. And we're going to color those up in some coordinating fall color tones. This is a card where I really did play with kind of not monochromatic, but with a very limited color scheme so that everything tied together, and it really helped to take away that feeling that I was using 2 separate stamp sets. I find that if I'm combining different sets, even if they're from the same company, having kind of the same colors go across the images really helps them to feel like they belong together, where sometimes they can kind of it feels obvious to the eye that they are pulled from different areas or different sets. So I'm using those really soft kind of golden tones now to shade in that little smaller mum. And for all of these, I ended up going back in with my deepest shade at the end just to do those little flicks and create a little more dimension and drama on the inner parts of the flowers, and I really love the effect that that gave. I did grab YG 90s for all of my leaves and the little kind of bottom part of the flower that would attach to the stem, and that's just because nothing says like fall colors to me in a greenery sense like olive, right? That olive or army green is just perfect for fall. So thanks to YouTube magic, I got the rest of those flowers colored up, and now we're gonna get to work on those coffee mugs. For coloring in my mugs, I really like to leave that little sliver of white right on the edges because in my mind these are like shiny ceramic mugs. You would definitely get reflective light on the areas where the mug or the cup turns away from you. You would get that extra little highlight. So I think that it adds a really nice little hint of dimension by leaving that little sliver open until I go in with my lightest shade, and then I fill that in as well as filling in the center. And like I said, I'm using the same color combinations as I did for my flowers, just kind of playing up the curves of the mug and the curve of the handle. And I'm going to go in with the golden for the base on this mug, and then go in with the red for the polka dots. And then for that little smaller kind of teacup mug, I'm going to pull in those YG90s again, just so that all of my colors are represented. And I feel like it really helps, the green in the mug helps to balance out so that the leaves and the other green in the flowers just kind of make more sense. Kind of having the same colors come in multiple places, like the rule of threes. So the mug, the leaves, and then the flower bases just is very like appealing to the eye. So whenever I can, I try to keep that in mind. It's definitely not a hard and fast rule, just a nice guideline to use if you aren't sure kind of where to start, or in my mind, it's almost like a default setting at this point. I don't even really think about it. It's just something that I do. I also wanted to make sure that my whipped cream wasn't just plain. So because everything else on this card is so warm and golden based, I'm going in with my E40 markers and adding some really soft shading to that whipped cream. It's okay to me if it looks more tan than white, because it is pumpkin spice season. And so maybe it's, you know, some cold foam, some pumpkin-y cold foam. That would make me very happy if that was my mug and that's what was in it. So I'm moving on to the little mug, and like I said, doing the same procedure, leaving that little highlight on the edges. I like to make sure that I get the darkest color right up against that highlight on the handles, again, just to really pop that contrast. And then going in with my medium and then lightest marker. I usually go from my darkest shade to my lightest shade, but if you are newer to Copic coloring, or you're trying out a new color combination, or you're just kind of feeling nervous in general, it is a good rule of thumb to work with your lighter colors and then go to darkest, or at least start putting in some of your shadows with the lightest color so you can map out your plan, and then you can jump into your darker shades to enforce that shading. So I use the same colors on the whipped cream, just with obviously a lot less of them because the foam on top of that tiny cup is much fluffier. It's not really piped on. It looks like it was more like dolloped. Can you tell I used to be a barista? And I'm going in now with my espresso beans, just doing a really easy, simple, and quick 3 blend coloring shade for that. And again, magic of YouTube, all of our images are colored in now, and it's time to add some really fun white highlights. So again, because in my mind these are shiny ceramic mugs, I wanted to make sure that they had a beautiful highlight, and I went in with a white gel pen, and you can see, especially for the mug that has the polka dot print, I really wanted it to overlap through the colors to make it clear that that's printed on and that the whole mug is shiny. So once I saw everything up against my maroon panel, I decided that I wanted to break it up and add in some more gold somewhere else. So I'm grabbing this piece of distress paper that I got as like in one of the like mystery boxes from Simon Says Stamp. I'll link it down below. It's really cool. It's like craft paper that has like a color printed on the top of it or something. I haven't gotten to play with it a lot, so I'm just using it as my kind of matte layer for this. But I love how this color works with the rest of the colors that I'm using. So I did go in with one of the sentiments that says, "Thank you for your kindness." And I am going to be embossing that with some white embossing powder. And I love how bright and crisp this looks once it is embossed. You can see I definitely used a ton of anti-static powder just in case my ink wasn't completely dry. I did check it ahead of time by putting some embossing powder and kind of tapping it off, and I wasn't super concerned, but a little extra anti-static powder never hurt anybody. You know what I mean? So I'm going through now and just kind of roughly laying out where all of my images might end up being. This is what I like to do when I'm planning out my card. I kind of just do a rough estimate of where everything's going to go. I did the left side first, and I popped up my mug and my espresso beans for both sides on some foam tape. I sped through the left side, and then I'm going to slow down and go at a more normal pace for the right hand side, just so you can see my mug is not attached. I'm just kind of holding it in place and working my way around it to create this kind of beautiful halo of flowers. And then I'll attach the mug with that foam tape and add some liquid glue to one side of my espresso pile and some foam tape to the other. And that way the part that's on the card base is popped up, and the part that overlaps onto the mug is adhered with liquid glue so that it looks like one flat thing all the way across. And it also isn't like hanging off on one side. So definitely don't be afraid to play around with adding some dimension. I've been addicted to using these Simon Says Stamp tiny, really thin foam squares. They come in 2 different sizes in the same pack. They come in white and black in the same pack as well, which has been absolutely amazing. They give the perfect amount, for me anyway, of dimension and separation without adding a ton of bulk to the card, and I just love them. I have literally 0 complaints. I've already bought myself a refill pack. I'm not even close to running out. I just know that I'm going to want to have them on hand at all times. If I ran out, I would cry. So I don't say that about many things when I'm crafting, but for this one, it's true. Please excuse the sunshine shining through my window onto my desk during this part. Normally, I do my crafting late at night after my kids have gone to bed, but this day I was working on a Sunday afternoon, and that sneaky little sliver of sunlight kind of crept in, and I didn't catch it while I was creating. So I added in some of the roasted coffee sequin mix for a little sparkle, and that brings this whole card together. I hope you had an amazing time. I'm so grateful that you came to hang out with me today. I can't wait to see you tomorrow for day 7 of October Eve. Thank you again, and happy crafting.